fucking drive, boom, kick back, send, kick, send, nice heels, sharp, alright, we're at 750 meters left to go, in 250 we're going to go into that sprint, sharp out of that water, kick, send, in about 100 meters we're going to take another move, together, this time we're going for Fern, and we're going for Kristen, alright, out of that water, nice drive, kick.
My name is Cara Cunningham. I am a sophomore and I am a coxswain on the UNC women's rowing team.
Lauren Walsh, junior coxswain. So a coxswain is someone who sits at the back of the boat. All of the rowers are facing backwards, so we're kind of their eyes. We steer the boat, we give them motivating calls, kind of correct them on their technique and tell them what to do.
A coxswain has to communicate clearly with purpose and authority. They need to be able to steer and maneuver a shell like an extension of their own person.
A coxswain is important because of many reasons. Number one being safety. Obviously, if the rowers can't see, then we're kind of their eyes navigating them down the course or in practice, kind of keeping them out of any trouble, but also kind of keeping their heads focused, keeping them ready to go for practice, and then motivated during races as well.
A coxswain is important because they're the person that makes the calls for the crew, as they can't usually make the calls for themselves since there's so many of them, and they are the eyes and ears of the boat.
Coxswains are responsible for executing practice per the instructions from their coach. They communicate and execute a plan that has been discussed amongst all involved parties. One of the main effectors of their plans is whether the practice includes steady state or a piece.
Steady state is a little bit longer usually, and it's at a lower rate, so the pace that they're going at is usually lower and longer. And then a piece is a little more fast-paced and a little bit shorter usually, and they're going a lot faster, and the strength that they're producing is just a lot more in a shorter amount of time.
Using inflection, coxswains can kind of do a lot. So during pieces, we have a variety of types of pieces that we do, and a lot of that is based on how we cox. So for a softer piece, if it's just kind of a warm-up row or a cool-down row, we're not going to be screaming at them super intense, whereas in a race we're going to be super intense if we're right next to a boat and we kind of want to work off of them. So using that, we can help motivate them because they'll get more fired up when we find that intensity and go with a deeper tone and get more into it.
Coxswains can bridge the gap between their viewpoint and the rower's viewpoint and make calls that help the rowers perform at the top of their game.
Coxswains can make a pretty large impact on a race or practice. A lot of it comes to the mood and attitude of the coxswain. A lot of times people have long days at school and we get to practice and not everyone wants to be there. You're stressed, you have homework. So when we're in the boat or at our practice, one of our biggest roles is just keeping the vibe up.
Most coxswains bring a recorder in the boat with them to record what they said during a practice or a race.
The value of recording our pieces is we are able to look back at it and listen to our coxing again.
There's definitely a lot of value in recording your pieces. A lot of times when I finish a race or a practice, I can kind of tell what I did wrong, like kind of on the surface. Like I know that I repeated something a lot. I know that I said like a lot. I know that I said these filler words a lot. But listening back to the race, or a practice, you can hear distinct calls and distinct changes that what you said, how you said it, and then how they reacted. So you can hear and remind yourself what worked, what didn't, with what group of girls did it work with, what kind of change did it have on the boat, which is super helpful.